Welcome to this shortwave radio channel, and of course, we take a look this week at the shortwave spectrum, megahertz by megahertz, and see what is actually there, what you can listen to in there. And of course, the chunk for now is 22 to 23 megahertz and the higher frequency ranges. Um, what's within 22 to 23? Big chunk of this band is actually a maritime band, maritime mobile. So there are some maritime communications that could go through on 22 megahertz. Actually, the maritime chunk there is very big. It's like from 22 to 22,800. And have I ever heard anything? Because we're in low solar activity, so you might have never heard something there right now. But I remember hearing a few things. I remember hearing in years past some CW markers or channel markers from like WLO, I believe, or something like that. So technically, it's still being used. I also see on some of the lists a lot of like not weather facts, but Navtex transmissions that could be in here. So there are some maritime things that are still being transmitted on these high frequencies. Problem is, with low solar activity right now, these aren't being received a lot. So that's probably the major problem. Have I received anything in that range for the last, I don't know, it's probably been a few years since I've heard something last time on this band. But it is active, and I know that there are some stations that are registered to use 22 megahertz maritime band, and that probably to transmit daily actually. It's just that propagation is not there, so you don't hear them. So what you could do is look at some of the lists of utilities and maybe try a SDR that's very close to the transmitter site, and maybe you can get the ground wave. I don't know, but unfortunately, it's mostly propagation that is making this band rather quiet. But there are some stuff between 22 and 23. And I did hear, it's been a while, but I did hear some maritime signals there. And the last little portion on the upper part of 22 to 23 megahertz, 22,700, 22,800 to 23, is a mix of all sorts of utility signals that could be popping up here and there, like civil air patrol and stuff like that. So that is something that you can check out. But unfortunately, what is probably the biggest problem on this band right now is the propagation that really prevents a lot of the signals from being there. And if you're wondering what these lines at very specific intervals are, these are harmonics from some kind of power supply or plasma TV or whatever. They are not actual signals from the band. So tune in from time to time, and if you actually hear sporadic E-skip, meaning that if you hear that the 11 meter band CB is open or the 10 meter band is open, or if you hear signals on the 15 meter band on 21 megahertz, might be interesting to just go through the 22 megahertz range. Maybe you'll hear some maritime station transmitting. There's still some stuff going on there. If you enjoy our videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up, and hope you like this series of looking at the shortwave spectrum, megahertz by megahertz.